Now, I don't know if this video is actually going to go up on Wednesday because I have a collab project and I have the Wednesday slot on that this week. So whatever day of the week that you are watching this, just know that this is a top 5 Wednesday topic and I definitely wanted to put this video up. But the topic this week is the top 5 books you are thankful for in the spirit of Thanksgiving. So at number 5, I've got the Uglies series by Scott Westerfeld. This is a YA dystopian series about a society where when you turn 16, everybody has to undergo this procedure to make them pretty. And the idea is that by everybody looking the same, very aesthetically pleasing, and they also are made to think the same way because there's a brain procedure involved here. The idea is that this eliminates discrimination based on look and how people act differently, and everyone can go into like the job force and into their lives basically on equal footing. And I read this series actually before The Hunger Games. So this was my first dystopian YA series. It was one of the very first YA series I ever got into, and this includes the first female protagonist that I ever read about that I felt was a very empowering character. I thought what was so profound about these books was all of the statements that it made about our society, about the emphasis that we place on looks and on fitting in and thinking the same way. And then book 4 is all about social media. Now, obviously it didn't look like Facebook and Twitter, things that we have today, but everybody has like an iChip and you record your day-to-day life, and people who get the most likes and the most comments and the most interactions, basically popularity is currency. So the more watched your videos are, the nicer house that you can live in. I just really think that it says a lot about what our society values, at least Western American culture, what we value. So these books meant a lot to me. I really felt like they had a powerful message. They were one of the first YA series that I got into, and I just got a lot out of it. Actually got to meet Scott Westerfeld at Y'all Fest last week, and I got to tell him Tally was the first empowering female character that I ever read about, and so it meant a lot to me to have that when I was a young adult. At number 4, I'm going to go with a book that I never have actually owned, but it's called The Bride of Pandora by Victoria Holt. This is an adult historical romance. It's not an erotica romance, it just is a romance, and I don't even remember the premise. It's about a woman who marries some rich guy, and the reason this is on my list though is because this book is one that I can pinpoint that had an impact on the rest of my lifelong love of reading. I had an incredible English teacher in high school. I had her for sophomore and junior year of my English classes, and she passed away a few weeks ago, and she was the woman that encouraged me to read for fun outside of class. And in her classes she would talk about books that she had been reading, and I remember going up to her one day after class and saying, "Hey, what was the name of that book that you were talking about, because it sounds really interesting?" And she told me The Bride of Pandora. You should check out this author. And I went home from school and got my grandma, because I was raised by my grandma, got her to take me to the library, and I checked out this book and I read it, and that is really the book that made me start reading for fun outside of class assignments. I read so many Victoria Holt books throughout high school. My best friend got into them with me as well, and that's kind of why I'm burned out on adult literature, because I read a lot in high school. By the way, in case you ever wonder why do you read so much YA and you're 30. Because I started with adult, I kind of went backwards. I will always appreciate that I had a teacher in high school that encouraged and cultivated my love for reading, and so I am thankful not only for this book, but for that teacher. At number 3, you might be surprised that this is only number 3, but I'm going with the Harry Potter series, and the reason this is not number 1 is because I didn't read these right away. I first heard about Harry Potter in my junior year of high school, and I thought, that is a kid's book. I'm not gonna read that, I'm too old for that. But all of my classmates were into it, and I did go and watch the movies in high school. I watched them with my cousin. I didn't read them until I was in college. I am very grateful for the world of Harry Potter and the huge cultural impact that it has had, and that I can strike up a conversation with just about anybody. I'm very thankful for all of the conversations that have come out of these books. At number 2 is Twilight. It's not that I'm thankful for the books themselves, although I am, because honestly Twilight was the first YA book that I read, and it really opened up my eyes to YA in general, and knowing that, wow, there are these books out there, they're not just for kids. But the reason why I am so thankful for Twilight, and it will always be a book I am most thankful for, is because of all of the memories that have come out of this franchise. Memories that I share with some of my best friends. We went and saw the movies together. We had a lot of inside jokes about Twilight together. It's just a time that I will always look back on fondly. You can rip apart the books, you can point out all the flaws to me. Yes, I can see them, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't take away the personal memories that I have that are shared with my friends. And the #1 book series that I am thankful for is The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit by J.R.R. You know who I mean. I've talked about it before, but I was gifted this box set of books. I do have another edition as well, but I was gifted this set by my father. He gave them to me when I was 15 because he had read them when he was 15 and they meant a lot to him. First book really that I can specifically pinpoint like where I was when I opened it, and I got to talk to my dad about him, and we had a lot of great conversations about these characters, and then seeing the movies together with my dad, that's an amazing memory. And then I got my best friend into them as well, so there's a lot of memories and a lot of sentimentality wrapped up in these books. And honestly, I really think that The Hobbit is the one book, if I'm going to credit any book of all time to my love of reading, it would be The Hobbit, because that was my introduction into this world. It was my introduction into a fantasy world. Yes, I had read books before that, but I don't think I really identified as a reader, and I especially didn't know that I was a fantasy reader before I picked these up. So #1 spot for me. Let me know what books you are most thankful for. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the comments. Bye!